The video today is going to be about how to be a guide and not an instructor in your classroom or in your homeschool room. And I'm going to delve into it a little bit more. So also, I apologize if you hear some moans and some squeaks. I have my daughter on my back, and she's going to go to sleep soon, so I'm just kind of moving a little bit. But I wanted to record this video while I had the chance, and it was silent in the house. So, how to be a guide and not a instructor, excuse me. How to be a guide and not an instructor. So a guide is someone who is like kind of like hold your hand and lead you, or it shows you. They kind of give you, here's the path to go. They're gonna walk in front of you and you're gonna follow behind you, right? An instructor is someone who just tells you this is what you're supposed to do. Here, go this way and that way, right? And so I like to think sometimes there's a place for instructors in learning. Yes, you need directions, go this direction, go this way. Especially like in math, there's certain things that you have to do this way in order for an equation to work out. So there's definitely places for instructing. But I want to say that there's also place for guidance. And this is helpful, especially when you're teaching new concepts to kids and you want them to understand, but you want them to problem solve and think for their own. So you guide your children. So what does that look like? A guide would be an example of guiding. And I do this with my child too. So here I got a card and it's 11. And so we're working on counting now. But he likes to just say, guess. He just likes to guess. Oh, it looks like 8. Okay, it's going to be 8. And then he'll move on. Or he'll be like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And just not point to him. And he just wants to go to the next thing. So this is what I do. I slow him down. I say, slow down, buddy. Let's try one more time. And let's count. Use your finger. Go slow. So I would start let's start with 1. Okay. And let him count 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then sometimes he skips 7. So I'll be like 7. Good. And do a silent. Good. 10, right? 11. So it's guiding the child in that way. Now, so that's one example. You're not just, no, you did not do it right. So let's start over again and start from the beginning. Because then that causes frustration for you, and it also causes frustration for the child. So you're guiding them along the path. So you're saying, here, let me help you. So it's like, kind of like when you would training wheels on a child, on a bike. So on a tricycle, excuse me. You would put training wheels and you would put tricycles. Already have the 3 wheels. A bike you put on training wheels. Okay, sorry. So you have the bike with the training wheels. You allow them to, it helps first, right? Before you just put them in there. So like some people like to go swimming, just throw your kid in the water and they'll figure it out. Not my style of parenting, but guiding, teaching them little by little. This is how we do it, and let's gradually get bigger and bigger and bigger until we get to that point. Okay, so that's one example. Another way to give to be a guide to your children and not just an instructor is to allow them to have choices. Now, I want to explain this. So I want to explain this with an example. I am not speaking of giving them choices about every single thing in life. What would you want to eat, or every day, or that's not what I'm talking about. I think children need to be given little choices, but bigger picture. And we'll talk about that in another video. That's a whole nother video. But just for today, I'm going to talk about little choices. So we have our crayon box here. And so what I would tell my son, okay, we're going to draw the letter A. We're going to color the letter A. What color would you like? Let's pick. Let's open it up and let's pick. You want red or do you want green? Which color would you like? Green or red? These are choices that will be given to a child that they can work with, but they still have freedom and options within a limited amount, okay? Another way to be a guide to your children and not just an instructor is to ask leading questions. And so this helps to create thinkers, critical thinkers, people that are just going to allow them to, use their brain. And that's what I love. That's what learning is all about. It's not just regurgitating information, it's processing it and then being able to repeat it back in a creative or a way that's their own. So my parents used to do this in homeschool growing up. And she would say, what's the definition of this word? And if you just gave her the exact definition word for word, she said, no, in your own words. Explain it to me in your own words. That way I know you understand what it's talking about. And then it also makes you have to use synonyms and stuff like that. So it's a cognitive learning process. But I'm going to show 2 examples of how you can ask leading questions. And there's I actually want to create a template of questions that I have learned in school to ask leading questions. Okay, so here we go. All right, so we have the weather, and this is a thermometer. It says today's thermometer, and it has the temperature gauge. I'm sorry, my light. Okay, it has the temperature gauge on this side and the degrees over here. Okay, and so what I would say to my kid would be like, okay, so we have a calendar and we tell the temperature outside out every day. So it is 30 degrees outside. Do you think it's hot or very cold? Let's look for a 30. Can you find the 30? You point to a 30 for me. Oh, you found it? Good job. 30 right there. Do you think it's very hot or very cold? Which one do you think? And they can talk. They may say warm, or they may say kind of cold, or I think it's cold. Then you lead a discussion based on that. So, oh, it's yellow. So that means it's cold, but not super, super cold. But it's kind of cold. You need your coat. You need your jacket. You talk about things like that. What do you use when you outside? When it's cold outside, do you wear a scarf? Would you need a scarf when you're wearing outside like this? So that's like leading questions. You're kind of asking your child and letting them think for themselves. Another one would be like for books. And I love this. Whenever we read books, I would like to stop and kind of ask them what's on the page. What do you think about this? What are these people doing? So I want to show a page that's pretty good for me. And so this is one I like to pause on. And I just want to read it for you guys. It says, we always ask questions if it doesn't look right, if it's not the right color, or it stinks up a fright. Okay, so then I stop and say, what's going on in this picture? Why is he holding his nose? What is this right here? And what do you think that is? Do you think that's a fruit or a vegetable? Wow, that's crazy. What's going on in this picture? You see how you say it, so it encourages your children to ask questions, and it's so fun for them, and they're learning, and they're also seeing, we're going to use pictures to understand what's going on in the world. And that also teaches them to go outside, and not just pictures. They say, oh, my son did this. Before we even noticed, we went to a playground one time, and he said, oh, the slide's broken, immediately. So you can pull it up, and I hadn't even looked at it. But he's using his observation skills. I've been teaching him to look, observe, look and see what's in the picture, what's going on. Before you can read, they can see a picture. So looking at pictures helps them to understand the concepts of the world, and it helps them to understand and look at details available in the world that we live. The last thing I want to talk about is pausing, giving them time to think. This is so important as a guide, as a teacher, and not just an instructor, but a guide. Giving your child the time to pause and let them process the information. Now, it might seem hard for us to do that because we're like, oh, they don't understand what my question is, or they don't get it. You can pause and let them think. And then you can rephrase and give them time to think again. So let me give you an example of that. All right, so I'm going to use the same book again. This book is called We Eat Food That's Fresh. I like it. It's very cute. Illustrated by Kathy June and written by Angela Russ Ayon. I think that's how you pronounce her name. All right, so I'm going to ask a question. I'm going to pause and allow him to think, and then we're going to come back to it. Okay, so let's see. What do you think this picture is? Smiling? Or is he laughing? Or is he sad? Or is he crying? What do you think he feels? What do you think this person feels? Well, what do you do? Very good. All right, good job. So, you saw how I took my time. And sometimes it takes even longer. Let them marinate on something for a very long time. Let them think. Say, how many fruit do you see? And if they don't know the answer, guide them. Okay, let's count. Let's start from this side and count. But you don't do it for them. Let them point. If they miss one, you just, oh, we forgot that one. Let's try that one again. So 1, 2. Very good. 10. There are 10 fruit on this page. You counted 10 fruit. Good job. Can you tell me what kind of fruit that you see? You don't know the fruit? Oh, I know you know this one. You like that one. We always get that one at Kroger for free. Good, banana. Very good. What about this? Oh, you're taking your time. You're asking the questions. You're repeating the questions. Maybe even rephrasing the questions. But you're allowing them to have time to think. Give them silence and let them think. So this is just a few tips on how to create learners that love to learn by you being a guide to your children. Thank you guys for watching.